Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at Cystereo's Fusion Glare. These are TWS wireless buds, which sell for around $60, and they have Qualcomm aptX built on in, as well as 7mm biodynamic drivers, which they claim to be hi-fi grade, and has kind of an interesting triangular shape to the buds, which also have a touch-sensitive area for controlling things like volume. So immediately, great to see that the controls can allow you to do everything, including volume, which sometimes are omitted, in addition to skip tracks and bringing up the voice assistant. Call quality using the microphones is also slightly above average thanks to some environmental noise cancellation using the software that can block out the ambient noises of a crowd as you're talking, for instance. However, these don't have active noise cancellation, so you can't really block out noise when you are listening to music. It's just for calling. The buds themselves will last up to 8 hours on a full charge, and then the case will give you a combined total of around 36 hours when you're on the road, which is also above average. And then in the box, aside from the Fusion Glare itself, we have some USB Type-C charging cables, some spare silicone tips to get a more snug fit, and of course the quick user manual. So taking a closer look at the design of just the battery case here, it actually has a slightly longer shape than some of the other cases we've seen in the past, including the AirPods, as you can see there, and also, say, the Redmi AirDots. So a very distinctive look. It's quite thin and narrow, but still feels relatively compact and easy enough to slide into a pocket. We have LED lights on here. There's 4 of them, so each one represents about 25% and tells you how much juice is left in the battery case. Again, a very interesting shape as we kind of open it up and see the buds inside. Otherwise, in the back here, we do have just the Type-C port for charging, and that is pretty much it. Buds themselves are magnetic, so they can be attached pretty easily into the case, and as far as their design is concerned, again, it does have a slightly larger shape than some of the other buds that we've seen, including here's a Apple AirPod. The stem shape is about the same, but the Cystereo are just a touch heavier, but still is decent overall. Here it is next to the Redmi AirDots, so it's not too bad, definitely not as large as some of the other more bulky headphones we've seen in the past, but at the same time they're not really as invisible as some of the smaller ones we've checked out. But it does mean again that the stem does have a microphone that's pointing a little closer to your mouth, which does improve the call quality by a touch. What I do like really about these is the color scheme. The gold accents combined with the black just makes it look very luxurious, and you'd expect these to cost more than their retail price. We do have the charging contacts, and also the buds themselves have a slightly ergonomic shape to them. They felt pretty comfortable when I was wearing it, a little on the tight side, but overall they're still very secure. I could walk around and jog, and they still stayed in place without any issues, and were overall comfortable enough, I'd say, even if you're wearing it for a few hours without really noticing too much stress or strain. The shape of the stem here, by the way, is a little bit boxy, so it makes it a little easier to pick up and hold by the stem. Moving into audio quality and performance, starting with the pros, these have a very dynamic sound, so a lot of details that you can detect, and a nice punch of bass as well. So if you're listening to a drum beat or EDM tracks, it's actually pretty thumpy and it's satisfactory. At the same time, mids do have plenty of detail as you're listening to instrumentals and vocals. It sounds great, very natural, and especially for string instruments, it actually is reproducing the details very well. Trebles also sound good without really any signs of distortion. It doesn't get too shrill. Pretty much any genre of music, whether it's pop, rock, EDM, or even watching a film with these, they perform very well in terms of the sound profile and the tuning of the drivers. If anything, I will say that there is a ever so faint touch of hiss or a little bit of static in the background at times. I'm not too sure if that's because of the drivers or because of the Qualcomm chipset that they've chosen here, but I will say it's not quite completely silent in terms of being completely audiophile great in that sense, but still in terms of the actual sound profile, it is doing very well in terms of being dynamic. Certainly one of the better sounding buds in this price category, I'd say. In terms of the latency, as expected, it performs really well thanks to that Qualcomm aptX support, and you can, again, watch movies and play and pause the track. The video and audio are still in sync. No problems there for watching YouTube with these, for listening to music. I could walk around the room, and everything was still very stable. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Cystereo Fusion Glare TWS wireless buds, which have above average battery life endurance, also supports fast charging, by the way, so a quick 10-minute charge will get you an hour and a half of listening time in the battery case, as well as a pretty comfortable fit, great controls that allow you to change volume, in addition to above average sound quality. The pros include the low latency thanks to the Qualcomm chip, as well as a very distinctive design that makes it look much more expensive than the price would imply, at least in my opinion. With that being said, you don't get too many extras here, such as no wireless charging, there is no kind of companion app or ANC, which would have been nice to see, but still at this price point, I think the emphasis here is all about that design and apt-X, which certainly do work as expected. So you can check out more details if you're interested, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Cystereo Fusion Glare.